His legacy would extend far beyond the battlefield and into the hearts and minds of warriors for centuries to come. Miyamoto Musashi was born at the tail end of a century of war and change, yet his path was unique among warriors. He was a ronin, a masterless samurai who wandered the land seeking combat not for fame or title, but for mastery. Historical tradition holds that Musashi fought in over 60 duels and never once tasted defeat, even when pitted against the deadliest swordsmen of his day. What set Musashi apart was not just his skill, but his philosophy. He developed a dual sword technique that allowed him to wield two blades at once, catching many opponents off guard. His tactics were unpredictable, ruthless, and calculated. Yet later in life, he turned his attention inward, writing a treatise on strategy that became one of the most influential works on combat and philosophy ever written. Warriors and strategists around the world study his words centuries later. Where Musashi taught the way of the sword and the mind, others carved their names into history through sheer battlefield might. Honda Tadakatsu was known as the warrior who seemed to defy death itself. In an era of constant conflict, when battles could stretch for days and chances of survival were slim, Tadakatsu stood undefeated, untouched by major injury, despite participating in dozens of major engagements. Peers called him a samurai among samurai, and even rival warlords spoke of him with awe. To serve under Tokugawa Ieyasu, one of history's most influential leaders, was an honor, and Tadakatsu did so with unmatched loyalty. He fought at the great battles that shaped Japan's unification, his presence a symbol of unwavering strength and resilience. But war in Japan was not shaped only by lone swordsmen or individual duels. It was collective clashes of strategy and skill that decided the fate of the nation. The Sengoku period, often called the Warring States era, was a century of relentless conflict where regional lords vied for supremacy. Against the backdrop of this chaos, rivalries were born that would define the nature of warfare itself. One such rivalry would become the very embodiment of chivalry and military genius. Takeda Shingen and Uesugi Kenshin were warlords whose names became synonymous with tactical brilliance. Their forces met repeatedly on the plains of Kawanakajima, 5 major battles where neither could secure total victory, but both displayed the peak of samurai strategy. These confrontations were not mere fights, they were tests of will, psychology, and the art of war itself. Stories from these battles were sung in poetry, painted in woodblock prints, and echoed through generations as the ultimate symbol of conflict between equals. The rivalry of Shingen and Kenshin was marked by mutual respect as much as ferocity. When soldiers marched onto the field under banners, they were not just fighting for territory, they were fighting to uphold